All right, welcome everybody. We've got another great little live session for you here with my man Burton from Propstream on the marketing functionalities within Propstream, right? How we can use the marketing components for our real estate businesses, and just give you some examples and a demo of some of that. Before we get started, a couple of favors and housekeeping items. First and foremost, if you're watching on YouTube, do me a huge favor and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit the bell so you're notified of new live sessions. If you're watching on Facebook, give me a like or a heart. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on LinkedIn, give it a like or maybe the celebrate or even the light bulb button as well. If this is the first time you're seeing one of these live sessions on Propstream, please know that we have a whole playlist with information, including a full demo, how you can use Propstream to generate, for example, old expired listings or failed listings, how you can use it to find vacant land opportunities, how you can use it to find commercial listing opportunities, lots of great different topics and ways you can use the platform. You can find that playlist on my YouTube channel or on Facebook or LinkedIn. Or if you're struggling to find any of that, just leave a comment below, shoot me a private message, and I'll be happy to point you in the right direction. Lastly, in the description, or you'll see it as scrolling across the bottom, you can get a free trial with Propstream by going to growwithjosh.com/PS. growwithjosh.com/PS. You've got nothing to lose. You might as well get a free trial, check it out, kick the tires, and figure out if it's a tool that makes sense for you. Obviously, we believe that it is, and I'm personally using it on a regular basis and love it in every way possible. But it's nice that you can try it out for free, right? And decide for yourself. So without further ado, Burton, let's dig into the marketing functionality, the marketing tools or aspects of Propstream and how folks might use it to grow their real estate practice.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and dive right on into it. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And what I like to do is just do a kind of a quick little recap. So I do encourage you guys to watch our previous videos. That way you can see what we're talking about and where we last left off. But in case you just didn't see those other videos, again, I highly encourage that you do. Our system does two important things. It does lead generation, and it helps you analyze a property, like run a comp on a property or know how much equity a property has or if it has a mortgage, etc. So our system can solve two fundamental problems: generate leads, which you're going to need to do, and then analyze properties as they call back wanting to sell their property. Now, in our previous video, we were focusing on building a list. Today, we're going to talk about what you can do after you build the list. And that would be what I call part 2 and part 3 of lead generation. And that's skip tracing that list. For those that don't know what that is, that's taking this list of buyers or pre-foreclosures or senior owners and getting a cell phone or a landline or an email. And the other thing that you can do as well is market directly to that same list. So now that you know what we're going to be discussing today, let's go ahead and dive right on into Propstream.
Beautiful.
So when you're in Propstream, as a reminder, nationwide, you can search anywhere in the United States. Now, in order to build a list, just like we did last time, you're going to need to pull up a market. Could be a county, could be a city, could be a zip code. From there, make sure you use our filters. Otherwise, you're going to be going through a lot of records. And if you want to do that, go for it. But I do recommend that you use our filters. Start with the list, like maybe the pre-foreclosure list. And then here on the left-hand side, additional filters, like making sure it's off market, right? On market, no. Making sure it has equity. Maybe you want 2 mortgages. Maybe you want it owned by a corporation or an individual. So just a quick recap on how to build a list. When you apply your filters, your unique properties are here on the right-hand side, which you can then check off and then hit add to list to finally establish your first marketing list. Now, this is important because you need to have a list in order to skip trace, in order to market. So once you go through these procedures, and again, I do encourage you to watch our previous videos because we dive into actually some of the best practices when building leads and some hidden ways to find some leads. But once you have that list created by hitting add to list, your marketing list will be sent to the My Properties area. So you must have a list in order to skip trace, in order to market. Once you have this list, you can now continue downward in our toolbar. And so the next step after building a list is skip tracing. Now, with skip tracing with Propstream, it is an additional cost. It's either 12 cents by default. And 12 cents, what that means is that if I skip trace an address, and we don't care if you do one or you don't do 1,000, it's going to be 12 cents. But 12 cents if it gets results. So if I skip trace 2 addresses, for example, and both of them come back with results, it's 24 cents. If one of them comes back with the results, that's 12 cents. If none of them come back with results, we won't charge you at all. Okay, so 12 cents is the basic price. Now, if you watched our previous video, we talked about this feature called List Automator. It's an add-on, very powerful add-on, and I won't say much about it, so got to watch that video to learn why. Yeah. But once you have List Automator like I do, your skip tracing is actually discounted even more. So you actually get your skip tracing for 10 cents, right? So 12 cents by default, 10 cents if you have List Automator. Now that you know about pricing and how we're charging you, again, if you get results only, you just need to follow the 3 steps. So how did we get here? After I build my list, let's say my Orange County pre-foreclosure list with 30% in equity. Once I have that list, I can click on skip tracing and follow these 3 steps. Step 1, select the contacts. 2, payment. 3, confirmation. So step 1, select contacts. From here, at the very top, I need to choose a list I want to skip trace. In this case, I'm going to choose my Orange County pre-foreclosures with 30% in equity. Now, nothing has happened entirely just yet. We still need to select who we're skip tracing from this list of 74 individuals. So once I choose a list, down below, it's going to identify everybody in this list. Now, at this point, I can highlight everybody or manually check off the names I want to skip trace. Obviously, in this case, I'm going to choose everybody. From there, I'm going to hit Add Selected Contacts. And you'll know you're heading in the right direction because the names will now drop down into the Selected Contacts area, and they'll be highlighted in yellow. Now, at this point, you don't need to check off anything. The only time you would need to check off somebody is if you want to remove them from the selected area, right? Let's say Nina calls you today, right? Well, we don't need to skip trace her anymore, so we can put her or remove her from this order. So once the names are highlighted in the bottom in yellow and they're in the selected area, you can now hit done, and step 1 is completed. Step 2 is the payment screen, and you'll know you're heading in the right direction because it'll say modify instead of select contacts, and the next button is selectable. So if you don't choose a list, you're not going to be able to hit the next button. When you hit the next button, it's going to give you your price. It's going to say, hey, out of your list of 74, 73 of them are eligible. One of them, or it could be 10, it could be 15, we're not able to skip trace them because you've either already done that in the past. It might be a duplicate, so we're not going to charge you again. We're not going to run the same address that's been skip traced on a different list again. It's already appended, so again, you've already done it, or it's insufficient information, like it's a trust or an LLC, and we're just not able to capture that information just yet. So your contact amount multiplied by the 12 or 10 cents gives you the price. If you're comfortable with that, you're going to go ahead and hit place order. Now, this is where you got to really pay attention. This pop-up, our terms and agreements, says this: we're not scrubbing the list for you, right? So we're not taking these phone numbers and emails and running them through the do not call list or the litigators list. You're going to need to do that on your own time. And if you're wondering why, it's because we service a lot of different investors. Some investors don't need to do that. Some investors obviously need to do that. If you're a realtor, I would recommend doing that. The other reason we couldn't do it is we can't be 100%, to be honest with you. We did do it in the past, but the truth is this. Let's say I build a list today and I scrub the list today, but then I don't call that list until 3 months later. The phone numbers could now be on the do not call list. And so this is why we kind of took a step back and decided, you know what, we're going to leave that up to you based on what you're doing with the phone numbers and with the phone numbers, the cell phones and landlines will dictate whether you need to scrub that list or not. So I want to emphasize that the results that you're getting are not scrubbed against the do not call list or litigators list. Okay. And that's what that terms and agreement was pretty much saying. Now, if you're comfortable with that, go ahead and hit I accept. And we're going to thank you for placing your order. At which point, when you hit OK, you can now rename this list, right? So maybe instead of OC pre-foreclosures 30%, we call it the OCPF with contact info. Now, when I hit done, your skip tracing is complete. Now, here's where we get some confusion a little bit. This is what I would recommend that you do. When you're skip tracing, you're gathering contact information, okay? So again, when you're skip tracing, you're gathering contact information. So whatever you do, don't go back into My Properties because that's the original list. What I'd like you to do is go into your contacts area. So again, if you're skip tracing, you're gathering contact information. So therefore, your results will be in the contacts page. So when I click on the contacts page, and pardon my lag here a little bit, here at the bottom left is where my skip tracing orders are placed. So what I need to do now is scroll through this area and find my Orange County list. And there it is. And when I click on it, right now it's currently processing. What that means is we're gathering the phone numbers and emails for you. It usually takes a few minutes. I would say the typical average turnaround for a list when you skip trace it is within like 30 seconds to a minute and a half. Granted, if you have a list of like 5 or 10,000 records, that could take like 5 minutes to 15 minutes, right? Now, for a list of, in this case, 74 properties, hopefully, as I'm telling you all about the details of skip tracing, that a minute has passed now. So if you feel like a minute, 2 minutes have passed, just hit the refresh page here at the top of your browser. So actually refresh your web browser. Another thing you can do is log out and log back in. I just like to refresh the website. But in a few minutes after placing your skip trace order, when you get your website back up and running or log out and log back in, go back to the contacts page. And when you do that, your results will be waiting for you. Hopefully, oh, there it is. So my list has now been successfully skip traced. So it was processing before I refreshed the website. Now it's completed. And here are the emails and phone numbers that we've been able to capture. Now, again, we're not perfect. There's going to be some addresses or individuals here that we could not get information on. But as I mentioned earlier, for, in this case, Antonio, you know, because we didn't get information on him, you're not going to get charged that. As a matter of fact, here's the 74 results. You can hit actions and actually view your invoice. So by hitting view summary, it tells you, okay, only 72 addresses were captured. So you're going to get charged 72 times 12 cents, or in my case, 72 times 10 cents. So for $7.20, I got 72 contact information, right? Now think about that. I'm in California. Traffic and gas prices are astronomical. So just driving to like 5 of these houses, I've already surpassed that $7.10. Plus, I have to now beat my head on the steering wheel because I'm sitting in traffic bumper to bumper. So I just want to express how powerful skip tracing is, especially because nine out of 10 of us are, you know, walking around with a cell phone or an email. And so if it's a hot day or a rainy day and that homeowner doesn't want to open the door, well, call, right? That might be the next best bet, or send an email. And I know if you sent me an email, I hate seeing an unread email. So best believe I always read my emails, but that's just me. This is part 2. Okay. So if we go back to the outline, what we just did was, again, we built a list. Previous video will show you how we do that. But right now, I ended up skip tracing that list. And now I have cell phones and emails. And if I wanted to, I could end it all right there. So I can go back into Propstream. Once I have my list fully completed, I can check off the individual names one at a time or all of them, and then hit that export button and get it out of Propstream. So not only am I, did I build a pre-foreclosures list with equity and off-market properties, but I have their addresses, and now I also have a landline. I also have a cell phone, and as I scroll further right, the email addresses and so forth.
I just want to emphasize two things, Burton. Number one, how affordable it is, and number two, how easy. Like, one of the reasons I love it is it's just so, like, because it's all in one platform. It's so easy to get that information. You go and find your list, skip trace, and literally within a couple of minutes, you've got all this data that you can then leverage in a number of different ways. And you're going to give some examples of how you can then leverage it. But you've got this data that you can export. You could create a custom audience on Facebook. You can do a ringless voicemail campaign. You can do an email campaign, which we're going to show here actually, in a minute or two. And it's just such a beautiful way to grow your business, right? Because data is the new, that's the new gold mine, right? Data is the new gold mine, and by having this data, and by so easily and quickly and readily being able to get this data, that's really where the magic happens.
I 100% agree with that statement, without a doubt. So yeah, that's again just an aspect of getting in front of the homeowner, right? What we're doing isn't new. I mean, without technology, we would go to the county, grab the phone number or grab the list, and then go through the yellow book. Remember that? And then try to get a phone number, right? And then make that phone call on a payphone or on a landline, right? Nothing different. It's just technology is here to streamline it a little bit easier. But that's the second part. Now, the third part of lead generation, if we go back to the outline, is marketing. And this is technically the last thing that you can do with our system in terms of generating leads. So you build that pre-foreclosure list of off-market properties with equity. You get their cell phones and landlines and emails. And again, you could walk away at this point. Or if you don't have time, you can use Propstream for marketing, aka our campaign area. So the campaign area allows one to now campaign to a marketing list. Now, I get this question a lot. Burton, do I need to skip trace to use your campaign area? The answer is no. You don't need to skip trace to use our campaign area. But let me explain what happens when you don't skip trace. If you just build a list of pre-foreclosures that are off market and you save that list, well, that list is only just going to have an address or a mailing address, right? So if you don't skip trace it, if you go from building a list straight to marketing, that's perfectly fine, right? You'll still be able to create a website for that list. That's right. You get a free website for a list. So you'll be able to create a website for that pre-foreclosure list, but you'll only be able to send a postcard because you only have the mailing address and the subject properties address. So skip tracing, again, not only gets you that information, which is very powerful already, but it does give you other options when it comes to running a campaign. So in my case, because we built a list and we skip traced it, I'll be able to use all the elements of the campaign. So let's show you now how to set up a campaign. So we went from searching a market and saving our lists into the My Properties page to skip tracing and then getting our results in the contacts page. And that list is called the OCPF with contact information. So now I can create a campaign. And here's the thing. You can have as many campaigns as your heart desires. The reason why is you're going to have more than one marketing list. If you have a cash buyers list, you should create a cash buyers campaign. If you have an auctions list, you should create an auctions campaign. And for every campaign you create, you get a website for each campaign. So if I create 10 separate campaigns, I get 10 separate landing pages. And that's the idea with that campaign. So in this example, once I'm in the campaign area, I'm going to hit new campaign. Now, currently, These are all my active campaigns that I'm working on right now and all the inactive ones I have had in the past. But since we created a new list, I'm going to hit new campaign and name this campaign. So OC pre-foreclosure campaign. Next, I'm going to target a list. Now, this is where you got to be careful because when you're targeting a list, you can target the original list, the OC pre-foreclosures with 30% in equity, under the marketing list area of your My Properties. Or if you scroll further down, there's the skip tracing list, right? That's why I wanted to make sure you guys knew that there's a difference between the two. So in my case, I'm going to choose the skip tracing list. And that's why I actually called it something else. So I can easily distinguish this is not the same list, same addresses, same homeowners, but technically a separate list because this is the list with phone numbers and emails. So that's the list I'm going to create or select. Name the campaign, selected my targeted audience, the skip trace list. Now I'm going to hit save. And your campaign, the one you just created, the one I just created, is now among all the other active campaigns, right? So anytime you click on a campaign, the center screen, the dashboard, is just going to isolate that campaign's details. Now, again, you can have as many campaigns as your heart desires. So let's click on like my auctions campaign, right? So in this scenario, I searched a city, I built an auctions list and saved it, skip traced it, and in the campaign area, I created an auctions campaign. And so when I click on this auctions campaign, in the center of the screen, it's going to isolate just the auctions campaign. So the date in which I created it, how many recipients are in this campaign I'm marketing to, and just like I mentioned, a free website. So this website is just for these 75 individuals. Now, my website, if I click on it, you'll be able to see what it looks like. It speaks to their situation specifically. In this case, hey, I buy houses in cash. We close in 30 days, right? And I could have said a month. I could have said, 2 months. I could have said a quarter. We close, by the end of the year. But that's not the case. I'm actually saying 30 days because this is an audience of auction individuals, right? So this is what you get in your campaign. You get a free website. Now, after you establish this website, at that point, you can then send them a postcard, a voicemail, or an email to hopefully redirect them to calling you back directly or going to this website you just created. And you can do that as many times as your heart desires. So after you do your auctions campaign, maybe you go back to the search page and build a buyer's list. You save that list, you skip trace it, you get your results. Then you go into the campaign area and you create a buyer's campaign, just like I did. And in this buyer's campaign, you get a website. But this time, the website doesn't say, I buy houses in 30 days. It says, hey, cash buyers, how would you like to work together? Or something like that. That's the reason why we're letting you create more than one campaign. And that's the reason why we're giving you a free website for each campaign, because the story is different for each scenario. So now that you get the point of campaign, website, and then the activities, let's do that with our OC pre-foreclosure campaign. So,
and while you're pulling back up, there are, we've got fully built campaigns on some of the courses that I've been putting together on absentee owners, baby boomers, and empty nesters. And so, if you're curious on any of that, you want to see examples of that, just let me know, comment, or send a private message. I can give you some free training, specifically on some of those niches that we've been using Propstream to get the data, to skip trace the data, and then what and how we're using that data through email, through ringless voicemail, through direct mail, etc. Anyway, go ahead, Burton. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. No, don't be sorry. So when it comes to running a campaign, again, that's once you name the campaign and choose your list and activate that campaign, it will now be in the activation section or active section. And what you're going to want to do is click on that campaign and get to the dashboard. And if this is your first campaign or a new campaign, the first thing you can do is set up a website. Again, it's free. Do you need to have this? Nope. But heck, if it's free and you think it's going to help deliver the message a little bit more, or maybe separate you from every other investor or realtor, go for it, right? So In this case, I'm going to hit Setup Website, and it's not complicated. There's really 2 steps to it. This is the first step, the website settings step. So the first line is the website name. Now, since we're giving you a free website, you got to kind of work with us. So this is your generic domain. It's reListingSite.com. And then at the very end is a series of random numbers. That's what these numbers are. So I get to change those random numbers. I could say Burton, the best agent ever. I'm not an agent, by the way, but I'm just saying I can put that and hey, that works. Now, again, why would someone want to do this? Because we live in an era where there's websites everywhere. And I believe that in order to separate you from everybody else or to build more credibility, put a good name in there. Because as a consumer myself, if you give me an email and there's a bunch of random numbers and letters, it's going to look sketchy. I might not even go to that website. Plus, it's going to be hard to search too. Yeah. Whereas in this case, reListing.site.com/Burton, the best agent ever, right? So that's the first thing you're going to need to do is set up the URL name. Now, after that, there is an application. I don't know if you guys can see it in the background a little bit right here. And I'll show you what the website will look like in a few moments, but there's an application. So if any of these individuals go to the website, they can give me their name, email, phone number, and leave me a message. Now, if they do that and hit the send button, this is the email in which we're going to send those applications to. So by default, it's your email. But if you want to change it to maybe your support's email so that they get the corresponding responses, have at it. So again, by default, it is your email. But if you want to switch it up, go for it. Third is, do you want to save this website? Now, if you're going to spend time editing this website and changing the colors, changing the font, you can check this off and save this design you're about to create for later on, because you might have another pre-foreclosure list you're going to market to. So why not just use the same site? No need to reinvent the wheel, right? So check this off to save it, uncheck it to not save it. And then finally, do you want to start with a blank website template, or would you like to use our one template that we provide you? Now, if you do use our template, when you hit done, this is part 2 of the setup. So part 1 is the URL where the emails are going to, and do you want to use our template or not? This is part 2 of the setup, which is okay. Now that we know all of that information, let's now create the landing page. And so if you use our template, you get a stock image. If you don't want that, you can click on it and remove it and maybe upload a picture in your computer. Let me use one here, like the Propstream logo. So you can upload your own picture, maybe your own photo, a logo, perhaps. Maybe the logo is your kitty cat or something. Again, we're letting you do what you need to do, okay? You can increase that size, decrease it, and you even get 5 pictures as well, like maybe a picture of yourself so they know who they're talking to, or feel comfortable that you're actually a real person. And you get up to 5 pictures. So the first one is the big one, and then the remaining 4 are smaller ones next to the bigger one. Now, if you change your mind, you can click on the picture, remove it, and say, you know what? Let's not cluster it. Let's just put our website logo only as the background. After you do the images, down below is your header text and your body text. So by default, there's a message there, but you could change it. We buy houses, fast and fair offer today. Instead of that, we help homeowners fight back the bank, whatever, right? Something that, will make them say, yeah, I love this guy or gal, right? So you get to change the header message. And if you've ever used a text editor, you have the font, you have the size, you even have the color you can change. Heck, make it bold if you need to. And then the body text, maybe 15 years of experience, 30 years of experience, or I'm local. You can come by my office today if you want. Whatever that body message is. The idea is this is the hook. This is to enforce the service or, what you're doing. And then hopefully that will get them to fill out that application. Now, this is just a thumbnail of what your website will look like. If you actually want to see it, hit preview at the very top, and we'll show you what your actual website will look like before you actually publish it. Now, this whole time, this website's inactive. So if you actually try to click on your URL and open up a new link, it's a dead website. That's until you actually are completed and you hit publish. The moment you hit publish, your website is now active and it's now a live website. And you can do this as many times as your heart desires. So if, again, I have 14 campaigns, I have 14 landing pages. If I have 20 campaigns, I get 20 landing pages. Whether you use it or not, we'll leave that up to you, but it's there to help support your message. So that's the first thing you do when you create a campaign is set up that website. After you set up the website, now we got to market. We got to get them to that website or get them to call us back directly. So here's what I recommend. Once you create the website, let's go ahead and copy that. Just store it on your clipboard for the time being. This is the dashboard to show you how many people are in your campaign, how many postcards have been sent if you did already. But since we haven't done any of that, I need to now click on an activity. And the first one I can click on is postcards. Now, this is an additional cost. What you're seeing here is a tiered price. Pricing will vary depending on how many you're sending and the size of the card. Now, the pricing does include postage, and we will send them out for you. So all you need to do is select a design or upload the design. Being that we have the list of mailing addresses, we can send them out for you. Okay. So pricing includes postage. Again, the amount and the size will vary on the price. Postcard design. So once you are comfortable with the price and the size that you want, you're going to need to let us know whether you want to use our templates. That's the first option. Or the second one, start with a blank postcard. Now, if you use our template, if you use this option here, you can hit next and we'll show you every template that we have in our system. Or here at the top, there's a drop-down menu where you can specify what you want as a template. Do you want the investor-only templates? These are templates where the verbiage is more what an investor would say to a homeowner, or perhaps the realtor-only templates. These are the things that a realtor would normally say, like need help selling your house, for example. So once you decide what template you want, select that template and then hit select at the very bottom. And the next page is the editor page. So if you wanted to actually add more to your template, this is the place to do it. So in the editor page, if I wanted to edit the front side of the card, I'm going to highlight that front side and I'm going to get some additional options. If I want to edit the back side, same thing, additional options. If I'm good to go, I can just hit the print and mail button at the top right and send it out if I wanted to. But in this scenario, I do want to edit the card. So I'm going to go to the front side and hit advanced edit. And this is now the editor screen. So here on the left-hand side are some tools like changing the background. Maybe gray is not going to stand out. So let's make it a red card instead. Or maybe a bright green card because that's going to definitely shine, right? You can add background images. You can click on the logo and move the logo around if you needed to, right? And then down below are the postcard text. So right here where it says header text, that's here. So if I click on that, it's going to give me that. The body text, the custom text, call now. So here's why I told you to copy your website, because your website's not on here. So now that I'm in the editor page, I'm going to hit the custom text box, this area here, and down below in this area is the text editor area. So this highlights the area on the postcard. This down below lets you add more to it. So when I'm in here, I'm going to hit enter and then copy my website. Now it's too big, so I'm going to go ahead and decrease the font to maybe a 36 perhaps. And for anybody that's ever used the word editor, if you don't see your URL on here, it's because the text box needs to be a little bit bigger, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You know what? This guy needs to move up a little bit so that I can move that up a little bit. Okay. So again, the website wasn't on here. Now it is. And I changed the color a little bit. So now when I hit done, that's the new front side of my card. And I can repeat that process on the back side. So if I just wanted to go on the back side and say, you know what, I just want to change the color a little bit, I can do that. And we can call it a day. Okay. So once you've made your edits, changed colors, added your website, added a phone number, whatever it is that you need to do, go ahead and hit print and mail at the top right. and we're going to send your edits to our publisher. But before we do that, this is where you can save your card. So you can call it the green Realtor card or whatever it is. Now, I do recommend that you save your card because you might need to send more than one to get their attention, right? I wish it was a one and done type of thing, but that's just not how it's going to work. So I do recommend that you save your card by naming it and then checking off save this template for future use. Now, if you don't want to do that, leave everything alone and then just hit save to save your edits, your customization. And this is the last page. So this last page is going to tell you your price, but then ask 3 important questions. Are your text fonts and images within the specified margins? Like if there's anything cutting off, you might want to go back. Second important question, did you include your contact information? Lots of people forget that for some reason. So we want to make sure we ask you to put your contact information. And then finally, are your images clear and high resolution enough, right? So if you upload your own picture, does it look good on the screen? Because if it looks foggy and looks blurry or pixelated, well, that's how the cards are going to come out, okay? So you answer these 3 questions, and if you're good, you're going to hit place order. And I'm not going to do that right now, but if you hit place order, let me just go ahead and save this card. What's going to happen, green Realtor. So if you place the order, the cards will then be sent to our publisher, your design. It takes 3 to 5 business days to create your postcard, and then we send them out USPS first class. But this is what it's going to look like after you place your order. Instead of saying unpublish, it's going to say publish. And then it's going to say how many recipients. And when they actually get sent out, then you'll see a number here, right? So I'm not going to see a number immediately, but if I log in, let's say beginning of next week, then that might say, yeah, 74%. So this is the first activity that you can do. And guess what? You're going to probably end up logging out, right? Or maybe doing another search, or maybe a week goes by. You're probably going to need to do that again. So go back to the campaign area, back to your campaign, right? Maybe a week has gone by, maybe 3 months have gone by. And if you want to send another postcard, go to new activity here at the top right. And then you can hit postcard and set up another postcard, or you can do a voicemail this time or an email. So if I wanted to do a voicemail, I click on voicemail. But right now, unfortunately, we've disabled the voicemail due to the Federal Trade Commission and politics at the end of the day. We had to disable it. Now, if you want to know why, it's called the trace stack, like you're tracing a piece of paper. Look that up, do some research. You'll formulate your own opinion. But we wanted to play it safe, and so we're disabling it for the time being. The last marketing that you can do is email marketing. And this I recommend that you take advantage of, because if the homeowner is just like me, they don't like unread mail. So they'll probably read everything. Now, when I click on email marketing, just like the website earlier, it's a 2-step process. So when I first click on it, this is the first step. So what would you like to name this campaign? This is just for you only. Maybe it's number 1. You might do 20 of these, right? So number 1, number 2, number 3, or Burton's email number 1, whatever it is. The next line is friendly from. So when you're sending out this email, most emails that you've ever gotten from a company will usually say do not reply on it, right? Or not have a specific person's name. Not in our case. So our email provider, when you send out the email, it can actually have your name on that email, or you can delete it and put your business name in there, right? So it says friendly.
So I would recommend, what I do with them, Burton, is my name and my brokerage. So josh.schoenly -EXP Realty.
Yep, there you go. Put your MLS number on there too, right? All that good stuff. No, but that's a great recommendation. And that's what makes this email system unique, is that it actually can be personalized. Yeah. Now here's the cherry on top. Not only can it say friendly from, Burton EXP Realtor or whatever it is, but they can actually reply back to the email. And this is a game changer, because most emails that you get from a corporation or a business, they're usually an automated email, just like ours, right? Because of that, most of them cannot be replied back to. So when you get, and you guys have seen them on your, I'm sure there's like 10 of them in your inbox right now, but they're the do not reply email. Not our email system. Our email system, they can actually reply back but you have to let us know what email you would like them to reply back to. So if they hit reply, they're going to reply back to my dummy email, right? Or if I want them to reply and speak to my support team, support@propstream.com, right? Or if I want them to speak to Josh, then I want them to go to josh@propstream.com or whatever it is, right? Whatever teammate it is. So reply to email is powerful for two reasons. They can reply back, but that also allows you to now change your message a little bit, right? Because most emails would be like, hey, if you're interested in selling, go to my website. If you're interested in selling, call me on this number. Now you could say, hey, if you really need help, just reply back now. I'll call you back. Right. And that's why I think the reply to email is a game changer, because you can now put that sense of urgency in your email by saying, hey, I know you need help, reply back if that's the case.
Yeah.
Subject line. So probably the most important part of every email is, what does the subject say? Because if it's not good, I'm going to walk away or delete it or mark it as read. But as a marketer, if you're going to be marketing to individuals, you also have to be careful, because if you use words like cash, it's going to get flagged. If you use words like act now, that's going to get flagged. Even if you use capital letters like today, that's going to get flagged, right? So this is a can spam compliancy filter. So you kind of want to walk that fine line where you don't want to be too salesy, but not enough salesy where they don't read the email. So you got to kind of be passive but aggressive a little bit. So in this case, I help with listing homes, right? Distressed properties, perhaps. To the point, not being flagged, let's go ahead and send that out. Now, after the subject line, do you want to send them to the website you created with us earlier? That's the default option. Or maybe you have a different website you want to send them over to. So in the email, there is a learn more button. That's actually a redirection link. So when they hit the learn more button, it either can go through a custom website or take them to the landing page we set up earlier.
Yeah.
Delivery date. We can leave this checked off and we'll send it immediately after you hit publish, or uncheck it and maybe deliver it this weekend at a certain time zone. Do you want to save your email? I recommend this because, again, you might need to send 20 of them before they actually read the email. I say that because you and me are the same, guys. I mean, I'm the same person. I'd be like, you sent me 6 emails? No, you didn't, right? And then I look, I'm like, oh, yeah, you did. So you might need to send more than one. That's just the reality of it, okay? So I do recommend you save it. Now, if you do save the email, or if you don't want to save the email, at the very bottom, you can start with a blank email template, or go through the ones that you've saved already, or use our stock template here. And just like the postcard website, it's pretty much both of those two combined. Just like on our website, you have the banner and the logos that you can put. Just like on the postcard, the website, you have the header text and the body text. So it's kind of like the website setup, postcard setup combined. The only difference is you have 5 different layouts. And once you make your edits, once you have the right message here, you can hit preview at the top and email it to yourself before anybody else sees it. So that way you can, exactly see what it's going to look like on their end. And if you're good, you can hit publish at the very end, and we'll send it out based on whether you said immediately or at a later date. And that right there is part 3 of lead generation, which, again, guys, is the marketing. So you can do all of that in Propstream. You build that pre-foreclosure list, get phone numbers and emails in a matter of moments, and then set up a website for that pre-foreclosure list. Send out postcards. Maybe they'll call you back in 2 weeks. Send out emails. Maybe you get someone to call you today. And if that happens, if you do get a phone call back, make sure you watch our previous video, because we'll show you how to analyze that property when they do call back, and how to run comps and etc. So, Josh, I'm going to give that back to you. But
yeah. This is great. Great stuff.
So
I did put some in the comments. There's some additional resources and recommendations. For example, I think it's awesome that Propstream has the built-in postcards. I personally use and recommend a different service, and so that link is in there. It's growwithjosh.com/thanks. growwithjosh.com/thanks. When you're sending emails, my experience is make them as plain Jane as possible. as close to a what would look like a personal email. You can see examples of some of this stuff and get some more details in a free class that I have that's called that you can register for free at absenteeclass.com. Absenteeclass.com. You can see, some of these things in play, practically speaking. And if you haven't already done so, hopefully you have. Many of you watching this are already using Propstream per our recommendation. But if you haven't gotten that free trial yet, use the link. It's scrolling across the bottom. You can find it above or below in the description. It's growwithjosh.com/PS. Give it a try. You've got nothing to lose. Get the free trial. Play around with the search functionalities. Play around with some of the other functionalities like what we shared with you today. And if you don't love it, there's no contracts. There's no long-term commitments. You're not getting married here, right? It's simple and easy to kick the tires on it. I love it. I use it almost every day. No exaggeration, almost every day for my business. And because of recommending it and using it, many of you are as well. And so use it as a tool to grow your business, particularly the listing side of your business, your listing inventory. Let's solve the listing inventory problem in your market, and Propstream will help you with that. So growwithjosh.com/PS. As always, if there's anything at all whatsoever we can do to help or support you, comment below, send a private message, call, text, send a carrier pigeon, whatever works for you. We are happy to help in any way possible. Burton, thanks again so much for your time and for your expertise and knowledge. And we'll be back soon with more great stuff.
Take care, everybody.